Bill Gates. When you hear that name, what comes to mind? A tech giant? The world's richest man? Or maybe just the face of Microsoft? But his story is so much more than a headline. It's a journey that started not in a boardroom, but in the mind of a curious kid, a journey that rewired our world and is now reshaping our future. Let's rewind the clock and uncover the real story behind the icon. It all began in Seattle, with a boy named Bill. From a young age, he wasn't like other kids. While they were playing outside, he was often lost in a world of his own, a world found between the pages of books. He devoured encyclopedias, sci-fi novels, anything he could get his hands on. His mind was a sponge, soaking up information, constantly asking why and how. This wasn't just idle curiosity, it was a relentless drive to understand the systems that govern the world around him. He loved logic puzzles and strategy games, not just for the fun of winning, but for the thrill of dissecting the rules and finding the most efficient path to victory. Then, something happened that would change his life forever. He met a computer. It was a clunky, slow, teletype machine at his school, but to young Bill, it was a universe of infinite possibility. He was completely captivated. He and his friends, including a young Paul Allen, would spend every spare moment they had in the computer room. They weren't just playing games, they were learning its language, bending it to their will, and dreaming of what this incredible technology could one day become. For Bill, the computer wasn't a toy, it was a tool, the ultimate tool for solving puzzles and building new worlds from scratch. As Bill entered his teenage years, this fascination exploded into an all-consuming passion. The school computer room became his second home. He wasn't just a student anymore, he was a programmer. He was teaching himself to code, to speak the language of machines. He and Paul Allen would stay up late, fueled by soda and sheer excitement, writing their first simple programs. They created a digital version of Tic-Tc-Do, then a program to schedule classes for their entire school. They were no longer just users of technology, they were creators. You could see the fire in his eyes, the intense focus of a mind that had found its calling. It was in this energetic, almost frantic atmosphere of creation that the first sparks of a genius began to shine brightly, showing the world a glimpse of the brilliance that was to come. But the path of a pioneer is never smooth. For every breakthrough, there were countless setbacks. Bill's intense focus on programming often put him at odds with his regular schoolwork. Teachers and even his parents worried. Was he spending too much time on this hobby? Was he neglecting his future? He faced criticism and skepticism. His early business ventures, like a company called Trafo Data that aimed to analyze traffic data, weren't the runaway successes he'd hoped for. Programs crashed. Ideas failed. There were moments of frustration and doubt, moments when it would have been easy to quit, to just be a normal kid. But Bill was anything but normal. He possessed a rare kind of persistence. Every failure wasn't an end, it was a lesson. Every bug wasn't a mistake, it was a puzzle to be solved. This resilience, this ability to stare down obstacles and keep moving forward, was the true foundation of his future success. Eventually, his academic brilliance led him to Harvard University, one of the most prestigious schools in the world. It was the expected path, the safe path. But Bill's mind was elsewhere. While he aced his exams, his real passion was still burning in the world of microcomputers. Then, in December 1974, a magazine cover changed everything. The Altair 8800, the world's first microcomputer kit, was announced. Bill and Paul Allen saw it not just as a machine, but as a destiny. They knew that this device needed a language, a software to make it useful for everyone. In that moment, Bill Gates made the riskiest and most important decision of his life. He dropped out of Harvard. He and Paul moved to Albuquerque to be closer to the company making the Altair, and in a small and remarkable office, Microsoft was born. The early days were a blur of relentless work. They were driven by a singular vision, a computer on every desk and in every home, all running Microsoft software. They worked around the clock, coding, debugging, and dreaming. The pressure was immense. They were a tiny startup with big ambitions, facing huge financial risks and technical challenges that no one had ever solved before. It was a high-stakes gamble, fueled by caffeine, ambition, and an unshakable belief in the power of software. This was the crucible where a company, and an industry, was forged. And then, the breakthrough. It wasn't one single moment, but a series of brilliant, strategic decisions. The masterstroke was securing the deal to provide the operating system for IBM's The Personal Computer. That system, MS-DOS, became the standard. From there, Microsoft's rise was meteoric. With Windows, they created a graphical interface that made computers accessible and intuitive for millions of ordinary people. Suddenly, the vision of a computer on every desk didn't seem so crazy. As the leader of this revolution, Bill Gates was at the center of it all. He was known for his intense, demanding leadership style, pushing his teams to innovate faster, to think bigger, and to win. Under immense pressure, he guided Microsoft from a small startup to a global technology titan, fundamentally changing how we work, communicate, and live our lives. He didn't just build a company, he built the digital age. But as the years passed and the success mounted, a new chapter began to unfold. Having conquered the world of technology, Bill Gates turned his attention to conquering the world's biggest problems. He and his wife Melinda started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, channeling their immense resources and intellectual firepower into a new mission. This wasn't about profits or market share, it was about saving lives and improving futures. The same intensity he brought to Microsoft, he now brought to philanthropy. He dived deep into the complexities of global health, fighting diseases like polio and malaria. He invested in education, seeking new ways to help every child reach their potential. He funded innovations in sanitation and agriculture to help the world's poorest communities. He became a student all over again, learning from scientists, doctors, and community leaders, applying his analytical mind to the most urgent challenges facing humanity. His legacy was no longer just about software, it was about service. So when we look back at the journey of Bill Gates, what do we see? We see a curious child who loved puzzles. We see a passionate teenager who fell in love with code. We see a determined entrepreneur who overcame every obstacle. We see a visionary leader who built an empire. And finally, we see a philanthropist dedicated to giving it all back. His life is a powerful montage of curiosity, struggle, persistence, and innovation. It is a story that teaches us that where you start doesn't have to define where you end up. It's a reminder to stay curious, to never stop learning, and to work relentlessly toward your goals. But perhaps the most important lesson from his journey is this: true success isn't just about what you achieve for yourself, but about how you use that success to lift up others. His story challenges each of us to ask not only what can I build, but also how can I help. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives that shaped our world. See you in the next one.